Hello, everyone. It's Brun Crack back with Football No Filter. I'm with my two companions, o Stefânio Teixeira. Stefânio, como é que andas, pá?
I'm okay, Buck. I can complain. Life is beautiful.
Life is beautiful, he says. Pois, está no primeiro lugar. Já
Nah,
não acontece há séculos.
não,
Quatro anos, para ser exato.
não estou não estou a falar nisso, não estava a falar nisso, mas pronto, já que estás a falar nisso, yeah, we are in first place, which means nothing really. But okay.
Pois. And Jorginho, you're back. You're wearing your retro jersey today. Retro's not so
My
retro.
retro. That's my Miklos Ferrer jersey.
Miklos Ferrer jersey. Very nice. Very good, guys. All right. So let's go right into it. We're not going to waste any time. I know everybody is dying to hear what we got to say about this weekend's games. I'll
What
go.
do you mean? This is a sports show? We're not talking politics? No politics. I'm playing.
No politics.
That's all we hear on the TV these days. But
These days,
none
exactly.
of that stuff. None of that stuff.
All right. Round 6 went like this. Paços Ferreira 3, Porto 2. Upset loss for Porto. A surprise loss there. Belenenses and Farense 1-1. Once again, Farense lets it slip away. Rio Ave 2, Moreirense 0. Marítimo and Nacional in the Madeira Derby draw 0-0. Portimonense 1, Santa Clara 2. Gil Vicente 1, Guimarães 2. An unjust result for Gil Vicente. Sporting slams Tondela 4-0. Braga edges Famalicão 1-0. And then a little bit of a surprise. Boa Vista 3, Benfica 0. Jogaram o triplo, como dizem lá o Cabeleira. All right. Before we move ahead to the big three, I'll start with you, Georgie. Any surprise results that you saw or disappointing results that you saw?
Yes, very disappointing result no estádio do Bessa. Pensava que ia ser um jogo a xadrez, checkmate, mas foi checkmate.
Well, I mean, outside of the big three, any other result that pops out at you?
I mean, not really. Let me see. I got to pull up the. Can't even recall all the games.
Scores. How about you, Steph?
Scores.
Anything that popped out at you?
Yes. I thought that Gil Vicente, the way they played against Porto Dragão and Sporting in Javalad, they would have done a better job and better performance against Guimarães.
They did.
But they lost. They lost at home, so that's why to me it's a surprising result.
Well, hold on a second. Did you watch the game?
Yeah, I did, but I'm not questioning how many chances of goal they missed. I'm just saying that they should have won the game at home. This is games that you got to win at home. You asking me any surprising results? I'm telling you, I'm surprised with Gil Vicente losing.
Okay.
With the amount of goals they created and didn't score.
Because I was watching the game Guimarães in the second half. The only opportunity they had was the one right at the tail end where they actually got the result.
And that's why I'm saying it was a surprising result. Não foi a tua pergunta, caralho.
Yeah,
That's que é burro. And then o Santa Clara winning at Portimonense, to me, that was surprising too.
I don't think it was very surprising.
I don't think either of those games were surprising. I think you look at on paper, right? If you look on paper, Gil Vicente Guimarães, you expect Guimarães to win a game like that against somebody in the bottom of the table.
But
I do.
They haven't won in years.
After the way they played against Futebol Porto Sporting, which they played real well. But there it is. When they play against the big clubs, they play what?
Yep.
They play the line. In casa contra o Guimarães, they play head-to-head. Jogos diferentes.
Well, the second half was all Gil Vicente. Let's be honest. Second half was all Gil Vicente.
I'm not questioning that, and that's why it was surprising to me, because they should have won the game.
The chances that they created were more than enough to win the game.
Agreed.
Another one, I thought this one was a little bit surprising, but more of a disappointing, was Braga and Famalicão. Famalicão sees a player red carded at the 67th minute. But Braga struggled to score. I mean, they scored a goal 74th minute on a free kick. And they didn't look fluid. Braga struggled to get past this Famalicão team. Any comments on that one?
I agree. I saw the game because I was off actually, and Famalicão created enough chances to at least tie the game. Braga won when we thought that Braga was, turning around the corner and being a harsh competition. It looks like after today's display as well. Granted, it's against Leicester. They took a left turn.
Okay, George. Any other comments on that?
No, I agree. I think Braga was had a couple of few good games, 2-3 good games. Then Carlos Carvalhal decided to open his big mouth the last European game, saying that he wasn't getting enough respect, and then poof, pop goes the weasel.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to quickly read the table. I know that Molingas was already on. O Sporting está em primeiro lugar. Pronto, ninguém o tira de lá, pá. Yeah, I know how he is. Está com 16 pontos. I know how Victor is. O Molingas fica todo maluco. Benfica 15, Braga 12, Porto, Santa Clara, and Vitória Guimarães at 10 points. Rio Ave 9, Paços Ferreira and Moreirense 8. Nacional Marítimo 7. Famalicão, Boa Vista, Bolonense all 6 points. Gil Vicente and Tondela 5, Portimonense 4, and Farense 2. Thing that jumps out at is the two Algarve clubs are down at the bottom. Tondela is going to struggle, I think, this year. They just don't have anybody to score goals. It's amazing to me how this team is where they are at. Okay, first game of the Jornada 6, sorry. It was Paços Ferreira 3, Porto 2. The lineup goes as follows: Marchesín in goal, Corona, Leite, Mavemba, and Manafá, Uribe, Sergio Oliveira, and Grujic, Marega, Ivan Nilsson, and Otávio up top. For Paços Ferreira, it was Jordi in goal, Fonseca, Marcelo, Baixinho, and Oleg. Elder, Eustáquio, Carlos, and Costa, the four guys in the middle. Jan and Singh up top, which I don't think that was the formation either. Porto played in a 3-5-2, it looked like, in this game, with Mavemba and Leite. And like it was a combination of like Manafá and Corona as the fullbacks, or the third center back. The one thing I mean, let's be honest, Porto did not play well. They look slow. I think Cedric Conceição nailed it on the head that camisolas don't win games. Jerseys cannot win the games. Porto just didn't look right. I don't understand, again, and I'll keep on saying it every week, and it sounds like I'm a broken record. How is Manafá plays on this team, I don't understand. He is by far the weakest link. You want to compare Manafá to, for example, Fernando Fonseca, night and day. Fernando Fonseca is a guy that came from our academy, and he shined in this game. Manafá, not so much. Just absolutely, and I keep on saying this. A player could score 5 goals in one game. A young player could miss one pass out of 20. They will sit the bench. Manafá can miss 19 out of 20 passes, miss 29 out of 30 crosses, and he could miss a ton of standing tackles. He's going to continue to start, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
Então já sabes o que é que se passa aí.
Não sei. Tem ter fotografias ou uma coisa assim.
Não, é outra coisa.
Well, hold on a second. We'll get to that in a second. Let me just kind of break this down.
Olha para mim.
Okay. Marco Grujic in this one, I thought played well in the first half, and I don't understand why he was taken out of the lineup at halftime. I think there could have been other players that could have been removed. I just didn't understand. Marega, he was not motivated. He was a guy that was dragging his feet throughout the game, and you could tell that Conceição was waiting for him to come around and play and let's get the balls into Marega and let Marega do something. Nothing. Even Nielsen, unfortunately, never got any service. Never got any service, and Otavio was not well. Sergio Oliveira looked like he was, playing against the. He was. It's just like he was the only man there, and Uribe didn't play well. Just overall, did not play. We just did not play well. Babimba didn't look lost late. I think that he just needs to be loaned out because he definitely needs some playing time. You can tell that he was rusty, but a lot of credit has to be given to Paços Ferreira. They were by far the better team. The way they moved the ball, their tactic was great. They annulled Porto's outside. They forced everything to go through the middle, and they were all waiting for him there. And Stakiu and Carlos were the two guys in the middle that just absolutely destroyed Porto's midfield. And then they countered with Elder and Singh on the outside, and that was it. Bruno Costa played a nice game. I think he definitely was motivated to show Sergio Conceição that he did have a spot on Porto's roster. Agree to disagree that he did or didn't. He definitely balled out this past weekend. It was 3-2. Could have been more. Steph.
Yeah, so I did watch the game actually, and I'm going to piggyback, with everything that you said. With Jeff Cabral, he posted a great question. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I'm actually replying now.
Okay.
Motivation.
Okay, so if you want to display it for the fans on the screen, but I agree with you. Paços Ferreira was the better team, no questions about that. And Jeff, by asking that question, what's the difference between Champions League, Porto, and the Liga Portuguesa? I think it's a little bit of combination of motivation, but not so much motivation. It's a lot more with fatigue, and that. I'm giving my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with it, but go ahead.
Okay, great. You can disagree, but let me finish. So I think it's a combination of fatigue and maybe motivation, but that's on the coach. You have a squad of, if I'm not mistaken, Port is 26 altogether?
27.
27, okay, 27. Usually it's either 26 or 24. Porto has 27. When you have a squad of 27, and you practice with your players every single day, then you have to see who's fresh to start the game and give you the 100%. You shouldn't hesitate. You shouldn't play the same players they play the Champions League game, man. It's tough. The 3 games playing the game, it's tough. And then we'll talk about Benfica, which I think it's a little bit of that too. But overall, Paços Ferreira played better. The 3-2 is actually a very short result. It should have been more like a 5-2 or 5-3. Porto had a couple chances as well. But since Bruno agrees on it, I'm not going to debate anything at all because it's like a unique situation that Bruno agrees that his team didn't play well. So today,
not the whole team didn't play well. So 99.9% of the team didn't play well.
Yeah, 99% didn't play well.
Someone that I really liked, that Bruno should really like, who played well, was Nuno Almeida. I'm sorry, that's the referee. I'm sorry. He played really well.
Ferrari Vermelho.
Played really well that game.
I didn't want to go towards that because Bruno today was kind of classy and said his team sucked. So I was going to go with just that.
I have a question for George though. In the officiating this past week, did it have any influence in the final result?
It tried really hard.
He tried or not tried. Did it have a result? Yes or no?
Tried really
You're not answering
hard.
the question. Yes or no? Did it have a result in the final score?
Because you guys are incompetent. Because you mean PKs?
A missa e o padre não se deram muito bem, não combinaram coisa bem.
You're not answering the question. The question is, did it have influence in the result?
To Cristo
também queria.
Agora que ele quer marcar penalty.
Steph, I didn't say anything. All I said was, did it have a final result? Did it have any influence in the outcome of the game?
It's not valid. It's good for you. It's a question that makes you feel good. But the thing is, we're not blind. Sportingista and Benfica saw that the referee made two big mistakes in favor do Porto, and you guys didn't capitalize on it. It's not our fault.
But you know what's more interesting? You know what's more interesting, Steph? What other goal? What other against what other team was another goal scored and then called back that shouldn't have been called back?
Boys,
the Benfica Ferenc guy scored a penalty and then they made him take it.
I'm going to just finish up saying I agree with Bruno 100%. His team sucked. Barcelona played better. And is it going to happen to Sporting and Benfica throughout the season? Most likely. If they don't take the game seriously, if they don't play 100%, because these the teams so-called small, they thirsty. They want to, show how well they play against the big teams.
I'm gonna go ahead. Finish.
So shame on Futebol Club Porto by not taking this game seriously. And, they didn't deserve to win. I'm glad they didn't win because Passo Freire was the better team, even though the referee tried to help Porto to win it.
All right, now here comes Molingas, and this is where I have to debunk Molingas and his theories. Sporting has no Liga Europa or Champions. Of course, they haven't played Champions in forever, Molingas, just so you know. They are just focusing on the championship. Porto and Benfica have lots of games, and they get tired with all these games. Again, I already asked Molingas, name players that were tired that played in Champions League and then played against Passo Freire. He has not shown any players. You know why? Because that's a myth.
No,
that's not true.
It's a proven fact. When Chelsea went,
he changed half the team.
When Chelsea won the Premier League last time, they were not involved in the international competitions, and everyone says that helped the team. And it does help the team. Yeah. I'm not saying a whole lot, but it does. It's you avoiding the trips. You're not interrupting sleeping patterns. You're not playing the game itself. So all those features, the trips, sleeping in a hotel, not playing the games, 90 plus minutes, it does help because you're staying home. I would rather Sporting being in our European competitions, but we're not because we sucked against less. We were friendly. So, but with that said, it does help a little. It doesn't help a lot, maybe not, but it does help. It does. You cannot say it doesn't help because Porto has to now travel to France, Marseille. So all the players have to wake up early, go to the airport, take off, land, go in the bus, go to Marseille, play the game, get back in the fucking bus, then board the plane again, and I missed the hotel portion of it, and then come back again, go back home. That's exhausting. And if I don't
agree with that. I don't think it's the physical part. I think it's more the mental part.
When you get to Portugal after you fly from America.
I think it's the mental part. These players have been do this all their career. I think the problem is that they're all souped up for a game against Marseille. They're all souped up for a game against Manchester City, and then they gotta play a Passo Ferreira or they have to play a Boa Vista, and they're like, oh, it's okay. We're Benfica. We're Porto. We don't have to run as much as these guys have to run. We don't have to do as much as these guys have to do. And then the problem is, and we go back to what we spoke about at the end of last year.
I was actually visiting, helping you guys with that because it's your team's losing, not mine.
Yeah, no, I get it.
but Steph, we're not debating.
A gente
We're,
tá-
we're,
a
I'm
gente
debating. I'm more debating.
there against Guimarães. You guys don't
No.
have a week. You only have 3 days.
I think.
but-
Listen.
Benfica's goals. Quando é que joga Benfica? Domingo.
But what does that have to do with it? I play soccer for a long time. I rather play a game every day than have to train every day. I rather play a game every day than train every day.
Amador, não é? Agora,
No.
Isto é um espetáculo. Olha para isto. It's COVID-19. Porto just wants to win millions. Then they worry about the championship. That statement made 0 sense.
Oh, anyway, listen. Okay, so it makes no difference.
But I agree with George, and I agree with Jeff, because Porto didn't even have to travel. Paços Ferreira is a stone's throw away from Porto. So in terms
São amigos. Equipa
I
amiga.
don't see it. The one thing I have to say is
But they still play.
Late didn't perform.
Even if
Uribe didn't perform.
de Paços Ferreira já foram lá de telepatia. Foram do Porto para Paços Ferreira de telepatia.
No, I'm saying the bus ride. How long the bus ride? 45 minutes? Not even. Agora, what I don't agree, what I don't accept is that Marega just goes on the field and he's just walking around and he wants balls played at his feet and he doesn't really care. O Ivanilson, coitado, waiting for balls inside the box. The ball would never get to him. How's he supposed to do anything when the balls are not getting to him? Otávio did not play well.
I know you already went through all the plays. You don't have to do it again. So who do you blame?
The one thing is motivation. I mean, what was the
coach.
number one
It's the
factor?
coach.
Exactly.
What was the number one factor, Steph? What that was talked about? On Saturday's training session, it was Sergio Conceição hammering the players because he says you can't win games with just walking on the field. You gotta actually perform.
Afterwards, até eu posso falar como género. Afterwards, qualquer Olha, a culpa do Porto perder contra o Paços Ferreira, it was totally Sergio Conceição. It was your coach. He's the one who set up the team and didn't go against Paços Ferreira.
I disagree. You know why?
Well, that's my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. The reason why Porto lost was Paços Ferreira was better. That's it. They were more effective. They passed the ball more. They controlled the game.
Why was Porto so? Why didn't Porto play well? Because your coach didn't prepare the game well, didn't set it up correctly. Because Paços Ferreira already has played how many games? That was the jornada number 6, right?
Yeah.
So they had played 5 games prior to Porto. So they had enough tape, enough feedback to study how Paços Ferreira plays away and home and against the big teams, because they played against Sporting on the first or second round. I forget which round. So Sergio Conceição, to me, didn't do his homework. He took it for granted. Of course, there's nothing he can do about the attitude of the players. That's not on the coach.
Oh, he can. He can do it.
Later. After.
No, not later. What did Mourinho do a couple of weeks in the?
You guys played him in the first.
In the Europa League that they were losing at the end of the first half. He took out half of the team.
Pois. Pode fazer 5 substituições, isso é verdade.
All I want.
Yeah, isso é verdade. Mas o Porto, I agree with Bruno. When I saw Paços Ferreira Porto, I thought Porto was o Ferreirense.
Paços Ferreira.
It didn't look like Porto. That's not the Porto we used to see.
They underestimated their opponent. That's what happened.
And that's the blame goes on the coaching staff.
Runs?
Yep.
Well, I don't know. I think it has also to do with the players, because when the players go in and they're just going there and just going through the motions, and that's what a lot of them did.
Coach, you're the coach. You control the game. You take them out.
Got it. Porra.
And well, now that's a different story, George, because he did have opportunities to do that, and he took way too long. The guy that kind of started mixing around, started pushing the team forward was Nakajima. But then shortly after, Marega, what he did was commit a penalty, and the game was over there. All right. We'll move ahead. We had Sporting taking on Tondela 4-0, Steph. Estás com a barriga cheia. You there?
Yeah, I'm there. I thought you were still saying something else.
Nada.
You done?
Segue.
Okay. So Sporting, we started with Aden, which basically he conquered that spot. So Maxi now is the second goalie. Then Fedal, Luis Net, Sebastian Coat, and then if you look at these four names, it's the pillar of Sporting, full of experience. Then Nuno Mendes, Pedro Porro, João Palhinha, and João Mário. That was good to see João Mário from the get go. Then Pot, Tiago Tomás, and Andrés Sporar. So two things that we were hoping for happened. So I don't know if Ruben Amorim listens to our podcast, which I really doubt. I really, really doubt. But he played with Sporar and João Mário from the get go, and that's what Sportingistas were claiming that should happen, and why? Because when you see João Mário playing on the pitch, he's like a maestro, controlling a band, the orchestra. And that guy, he doesn't know how to play bad. When he plays, he makes it look very easy. He's a world-class player. So he basically made us forget about Wendell. So that was a good call by Ruben Amorim. Sporar, why Sporar is better than Giovanni in that specific position, not as a winger, because Giovanni is a winger. And Ruben Amorim tried to play him as a striker, but he's not really good playing with his back to the goalie. He doesn't know how to. His first touch is horrible. So Sporar, he gave that into that position. He knows how to control the ball, and he has more touches inside the box than Giovanni. And he holds those center backs in he keeps them busy, basically, against Tondela. That's what he did, and he did real well. He even scored a goal at the end. But that's what his weakness is. He needs to finish better, Sporar. But overall, the team, great performance. But it confirms that it was a good acquisition for Sporting. I got wind of how the deal was with Famalicão. The Sporting only bought 50% of it because Famalicão was only selling 50%. They never wanted to sell 100% of the pass, and their hope was that a lot of teams were interested in Pedro Gonçalves. That's his real name, actually. But then the COVID-19 happened, and then everything kind of crashed. And then Famalicão, whoever his agent is, and the club, they thought, hey, we're just going to sell 50% and keep our 50%. And later, if he gains value at Sporting, and if they sell him for 30, we're going to get 50 million ourselves. So that was a smart move from Famalicão. It would have been the same thing for Porto, because Porto was after Pedro Gonçalves as well. And the deal on the table was the same thing for Sporting and Porto, 50% of the pass only. I foresee that going on more and more in our league, Portuguese league, and maybe other leagues as well. But back to the game. Great performance by Pot. Great performance by Nuno Mendes. He made us forget about Acuna, international from Argentina, and he's only 18 years old. I mean, that's what's amazing about that kid. So I'm not going to take too long. It was a great performance by the whole team. But like Bruno said, Tondela is kind of a team that. The good thing about Tondela, just in case you guys don't know this, it's an interesting statistic. In fact, since Tondela came to the first division, they never went down again. So the only teams that they have accomplished that, it's Sporting, Porto, Benfica, and now Tondela. Since they came to the first division, they never dropped to the second division again. Now. For me, os Sportingistas está a sair, a gente ganhou contra o Tondela porque é clube assim pequenino. it's not the way you should say it. A win is a win. It doesn't matter against whom, because when we went against Passo Ferreira, Passo Ferreira é uma equipa não sei o quê e ganhou o Porto. Portanto, let's not go along those. This is not towards you guys. It's more against Sportingistas, actually. I've seen so many comments on Twitter because they're still stuck in that Varandas, Bruno Carvalho. They can separate that, and I hate that, because as much as I hate Varandas, Sporting is Sporting. I'm always going to support my team. I don't mix the politics that involves everything else. But, with that said, that's all I got to say. Great performance by our team. And Ruben Amorim, by putting João Mário in Sporar, gave more depth to the team and more stability. And Palhinha, what a player. So Palhinha and Palhinha and João Mário, it's a good mix together. And now we have two great backups. If Palhinha is hurt or has 5 yellow cards, we have Matheus Nunes. If João Mário, same thing, he has 5 yellow cards or even a red card or he's injured, we have Bragança. So we have depth on the bench as well, which I haven't seen for a while. The only thing that we don't have depth with is a striker. If we are still in the title race by January, which I hope so, I think we should invest in buying a striker. That's it.
Did you see that comment by Jeff Cabral? João Mário contract with Inter expires in 2021. If you were Sporting, would you make a push to sign him big contract, knowing that you would be blocking Bragança and Mateus in the future? Good question.
Yeah, of course I would. World class players, you always want to buy them. You're not blocking Bragança. Matheus Nunes plays number 6, so you wouldn't be blocking him. And you always need two good players for 2 positions. Sometimes you even need 3. Look at Benfica and Porto; they have that. So why shouldn't we have it? So what do we say? If João Mário gets hurt, we should put a shitty player from the B team. So now we have a quality player.
João Mário plays multiple positions. He can play as an 8, he can play as a 10, and he can even play as a winger in a 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 that you guys use.
Até como falso 9. Já fez é polivalente o rapaz. But he does not.
I want to throw this in there, though. If they go to sign the way that Jeff is describing, if they go to sign him, don't be surprised, because they're not going to be able to keep Pedro Gonçalves. They most likely will have to sell him.
Well, but that's something that our clubs have to face every year. Sporting, Benfica, Porto. We have to sell players because we don't make enough money. We're not in the Premier League. And if the Super League comes into fruition, which it looks like it is, there's a Super League with 18 teams. Italy, France, England, Germany, and Spain. And all those 5 countries, all those teams, they've said yes, they won the Super League. It might happen in 2022. And if that Super League exists, it'll be like an NBA style of league. Our leagues, they lose interest even more than now.
This is a good point. Pedro Gonçalves will not have a huge market until he makes the national team. Listen, Jeff, I think it's just a matter of time. If he continues to play the way he is, it's just a matter of time. We'll see if he gets his shot. Hopefully, Fernando Santos is not playing any type of favorites, and he calls the best players in form. Not like on the national team where we have Diogo Jota that's on fire, but we still see who was always starting next to Cristiano Ronaldo. That's a different story.
I know what o Jeff está a falar, porque o Fernando Santos chamou o Pedro, como é que chama o gajo? O Pedro
Gonçalves.
Não. Pedro Gonçalves é do Sporting. O Pedro
João Félix.
Não. Foda-se.
O Jota?
Não. Há Pedro que foi chamado que é meio campista. And he shouldn't have been called because he only played a few games and he only...
Pedro Neto.
Pedro Neto, thank you. O Pedro Neto.
He's a winger.
O Pedro Neto. O Pedro Neto was called, and o Pedro Gonçalves was not called. But I prefer him to go to the sub-21 and play a full game than be sitting on the bench. So, but I agree with Bruno. It's a matter of time. He'll get the call.
George, anything to add on the Tondela at Sporting?
No, I mean, listen. You look at the stats, and you could tell that it was a killing. 26 shots against 3, 15 shots on net against 0. So 86%, 63% ball possession versus 37, 86% pass accuracy. So it was a killing by Sporting, and that Pedro Gonçalves guy. I watched the game. He's phenomenal. All the young kids are doing really, really good. I mean, you asked before if there's a surprise with last, with the games last week or with the standings or whatever. And my surprise, no, saying sem tentar ofender a ninguém. My surprise is that Sporting is where they are. I mean, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect Sporting to be where they are now. But again, we gotta let them play against some stronger teams next week. This week is going to be a big test against Guimarães. So let's see what happens. Let's see if the kids can hold it together. But so far, great. And like Steph said, I think they definitely need a striker, the Raiz, the number 9. João Mario, you didn't go get him and pay him, $1.5 million clean for him to stay in the bench. He's gotta be in the starting lineup. And now you have a couple of young kids in the bench that can come in if needed. I like what I see. They seem to be fearless, but again, you gotta see the consistency. What are they going to do if they lose a game? What happens if they lose a game, or they get a bad result?
We did. We did.
A little bit different.
No, we lost the game and the competition 4-1 at home. That was a bad loss, and the Ruben Amorim and the young team, like you said, exception for the back four, they rebounded quite nicely. But I agree with George's assessment. Let's play against some stronger teams, and which we did against Porto. And playing against Porto is not bad. I mean, if Sporting wins all the games against small teams and plays against Porto, or even loses against Porto,
they'll win.
They'll
win the championship. Yeah.
Because Porto and Benfica just played against Boavista and Paços Ferreira. But if we don't, then we'll win. But the thing is, it's only the 6th round. It's too early. It means nothing. This first place. It means really nothing. It's good. It's good.
I heard this weekend that Porto was done. It was a 2-team race. That's what I heard.
You hear voices in your head.
No. There was people telling me, o Porto acabou, já não interessa pro campeonato.
It's probably your Portista friends tell you that.
No. It was Portuguese Benfica that were saying
please
that Porto was done, and it's a 2-team race. That's what they're saying.
You know what you should do? I'm going to tell you what you should do. You should disconnect from social media. Just do a test for yourself. Just for 1 week. Disconnect from social media. Then we'll do our podcast, because then you're not going to have any negative feedback from other people, and you'll say it differently. And I'll hear your opinion, and that opinion based on other people you don't even know that you just know on social media.
Oh,
I'll speak to you. I'll speak to you in regards to my Benfica, friends, or you could say, same, club guys. If any Benfica told you that you were out of the race because you lost against Paços Ferreira, then they must be smoking some bad stuff, because they must not remember that we lost a championship last year, being up 8 points. And we won, and we won 2 years ago being behind 8 points.
People forget very quickly, George.
People do that to Bruno just to fuck with him.
No. You can tell that they were sincere. You could tell that they were sincere, because it was also Sportingistas that said, Porto está fora da corrida.
E tu não tens portistas e não há sportinguistas assim também. Não é só
I'm
bem.
just gonna say this. I'm just gonna say this.
Iguaizinhos a essas que tu estás a falar.
Well, I'm just gonna say this, Steph. Sporting is one draw away from starting to create self-doubt. One draw. Listen to what I'm telling you.
Ah.
Right. José Nunes from Antena 1 compared Pot to Rui Barros. Thoughts on that? Steph, any comparison that you can say?
But let's talk about your statement. Why would you say that?
Because I'm just telling you, that's my opinion. My opinion is Sporting is one draw away from starting to collapse.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. And I don't agree with that for a couple of different reasons.
Estás a ver? O Bruno às vezes he's the one who's smoking weed or something.
No.
Opa, mas, alguma vez alguém disse aqui neste painel que o Sporting vai ser undefeated?
No, I'm not saying that.
You know that Sporting will lose one day. We know that. You know, if you can delay it, everything goes to a bad face and a good face.
Let me
Bad face yet. They will as well.
That's what I'm trying to say is they're one draw away from having a mini collapse. What do I mean? 2 or 3 games that they don't go on winning. They lose one, maybe they draw 2 or 3. It's going to be a little mini crisis that they're going to drop points.
But that's every team, Bruno. That's
agreed.
Go through that.
It happens to Sporting more than anybody out of the big 3. Yes.
Well, it's a little bit different now for 2 reasons. Number one, most of the team is composed of young kids that are fearless. They're just starting. They don't really care. And number 2, which is the bigger reason, there's a big benefit to Sporting not having fans at their stadium, because for the last year and a half or 2 years, the fans at their stadium were their biggest critic. Their own fans were their biggest critic. So even if they lose 1 or 2 games, there's nobody really to be hassling them and waving the lenços brancos and yapping away at them. So I think those were the 2 reasons why I don't think. Listen, they're going to have bad results. I think every team's going to have bad results, but I think they'll be able to push through. And like Steph said, they got eliminated from a competition, and then they came right out of it, and they've been, they're undefeated, right?
Yeah, they won every game since, well, except for Porto. But all right, Steph, José Nunes from Antena 1 compared Pot to Rui Barros. Thoughts on that? Do you see a comparison there? Yes or no?
No, not at all. Rui Barros, he was more of a winger. Pot, he's a winger, but he plays more on the inside. Rui Barros, he plays more on the outside. No, not at all. 2 different players. I mean, Rui Barros was a great player. I wish he could play for Sporting. Don't get me wrong. I like the kid, o Rato Atomico. I liked him a lot. But no, I don't think they're similar at all, actually. A estatura de um e do outro não tem nada a ver com. O Pote é muito melhor do que o Rui Barros de cabeça. He plays with both feet. O Pote, in case you guys didn't know that, he plays with both feet. He prefers the right foot, but he can play with the left as well. So, and don't forget, Pote is only 21. Just throwing that out there. He's still a young player.
Still, very young.
Yeah, he's very promising, and if he pulls a great season, I agree with George and you. He'll be sold by the summer.
I'm telling you, George. Do you agree or disagree?
You're comparing some vinho de Porto Reserva with some vinho Moscatel. Can't compare. It's too young. You can't compare players like that. It's just not comparable right now. Give me 10 years or something like that. Maybe then you can make a comparison like that. Or they, I hope this guy, whoever he was, were comparing styles of play. But even,
I think that's what he's referring to. The style.
But even styles of play, I don't think it's comparable.
I know Jeff was talking about that. Yeah, style of play is not at all the same. No,
I don't think it's comparable.
Here's a nice statement from Lingas. There is no little teams in Portugal anymore.
I know what it means. It means that in the Liga Nos, every team is very professional, meaning that the presidents and administrations, the dirigents, clubs, they're very professional and they give everything to the players. In that aspect, yeah, I agree with him.
I don't think he means it like that.
I think it's a combination of that, but when you look at the quality and depth of each plantel, there's a big difference.
I think
Malingas, the only thing I gotta say, Malingas, on this one is, I mean, you could keep on building new teams all the time. You're eventually gonna need players that know how to win and know how to close out seasons. With Sporting doesn't have any on their roster, so I disagree with Malinga's statement there. Just to clarify, Jeff Cabral clarified he was comparing style. So it really depends on your point of view. If Rui Barros is very similar to Pot, or Pot is very similar to Rui Barros in this case, it really depends. I mean, they might have some similarities, but exactly the same, I don't know. All right, we're gonna go to that big game, Estádio do Bessa. We had Boa Vista 3 and Cabeleiras. Jogamos o triplo 0.
How come you're not so excited like that quando levaste 3 dos Passos Ferreiras também? Aí é.
Porque marcamos 2.
3-2. It's okay. Acontece a toda a gente. Os quadros de missa
We were gonna be 8 points. I'm still waiting for the 8 points. Onde é que estão os 8 pontos, pá? Eu não estou à procura aqui. Não vejo no telefone, vejo no computador, não vejo 8 pontos, pá.
What are you talking about? 8 pontos de quê?
On Friday night, when Porto lost to Passos Ferreira, all I heard, vais ficar a 8 pontos. Where's the 8 points? I'm looking for the 8 points, I don't see them.
Mas tu parecia, pois, tu agora falas muito, só que é quando foi o jogo e no dia a seguir parecia que tinhas apanhado um voo direto para a Antártica.
Week 6, calma everybody. Week 6, relax.
It's too early for these fucking pisadas. Relax, guys. We still have 28 fucking rounds.
Yeah. And don't forget that there might be a shutdown. So
yes,
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
These, go ahead. Go to your Boa Vista 3, Benfica 0.
Oh, you want the lineup?
Sure.
Vlaco Dimos, Tavares, Vertonghen, Otamendi, Gilberto, Everton, Tarabt, Gabriel Pizzi, Walschmidt e Nunes. Boa Vista, Leonardo, Cannon, Devenish, Awazim, Mangas, Hamachi, Paulinho, Reizinho, Show, e Angel Gomez, and then Ellis. What should I say about this game?
What a brain fart.
What should I say about this game? Looking at the lineup.
Well, did you agree with the lineup? We'll start with that.
I don't like Gilberto. I don't like. He's lost. He's lost in the field. Today was another one of his games. He goes. When Benfica is attacking, he goes up the wing. But then every time Benfica loses the ball, I see 2 players on his side, and only after the play is over, I see Gilberto coming into the frame of the TV, and I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing in the field? So I think that's the one of the big problems. So we lose balance in that area there. I think Walschmidt, had a really good start to the season. And the last couple of games, he just disappeared. Tarabt, I know what Jorge Jesus is trying to do. He's trying to put him back in the game. Getting his physically getting him back to normal after the injury and after the card. I don't agree with putting him in the starting lineup right away. I think I think he has to sit in the bench and earn his way back. Um, and then in the back, look, I think we have a very experienced center backs, but I think in the last couple of games, you've also seen how not having that Ruben Dias, a fast style, aggressive center defender, how it makes a difference. The age is catching up to these guys, and even though they're very experienced, now playing with two young kids, a young kid on the left side, and then you have Gilberto, which is new to the team, on the right side, and not being position wise, not being as well positioned as a Grimaldo or an Andre Almeida. How you can tell how the back is a little bit lost. As far as the game, look, the better team won. The team that had the best strategy won. A strategy to mata mata mata, 31 fouls for the whole game. Cards, I don't even know how many cards we got, but let's see. Let's see what was the number of cards that were given in this whole game. Yellow cards. So Boavista made 31 fouls. They got 3 cards. We made 15 fouls. We got 4 cards. Daqueles padres nossos de que reza as nossas missas. On Boa Vista side, look, Angel Gomes, I had never watched him play. This was the first game that I watched him. Really good player. That Angel Gomes. The up front also Ellis, I think, good player as well. I think the keeper had a good game. I think we missed. I think it was still 0-0. It was 1-0. Vertogen missed a wide open header in front of the goalie, like 3 feet from the goalie. The regra of headering the ball down and not up. I guess he didn't remember that part. But I think if Benfica would have gone ahead in the scoreboard, I think the game would have been a little bit different, because Boavista then, they wouldn't kill the game with all the fouls. But it is what it is. You get what you work for, and I think it's another case of Benfica. I think Boavista and PAOK, Abel Ferreira, they've shown that there's ways of stopping Benfica if you don't let them play. If you don't let us play the way we like to play, and we like to play a certain way. And we have difficulty when teams pack up the lines and block the middle of the field. I think we struggle if we can't come through the middle of the field. I think we struggle, and when we're pushed to go to the sides, but with enough coverage there by the opposing team, I think we struggle finding space. And something that I noticed in this game, you would see the defenders in the midfield exchanging balls in the middle of the field, but you wouldn't see anybody up front trying to make runs behind the defenders. Everybody was stopped. There was no movement. And when you're playing against a so-called smaller team that packs the bus and tries to block all lanes of passing, if there's no movement, there's no way you're gonna break that defense and have opportunities. And I think that's what happened with Benfica.
Steph,
Yeah.
anything on this game that you would like to add?
Well, the statistics speaks for itself. So Futebol obviously was more Benfica, because Benfica is one of those teams that likes to have control of the ball, but then everything else was Boavista. Remates 15 to Boavista, 7 to Benfica. Remates à baliza 7 to Boavista, 2 from Benfica. And then corner kicks, actually Benfica had more. They had 6, and then Boavista had 4. But like George said, the coach from Boavista, he's a coach that has been around the block, o Vasco Seabra, and he prepared, again, the coach prepared the game well. And it goes, he must have looked at the power game and mimicked that game. And he said, if we play exactly the same way the power played against Benfica, we might have a shot of winning against Benfica. And then scoring early, it forced Benfica to go to attack mode. They had to change the strategy a little to be more offensive, and then they open the back of the defense, and then o Boavista estava no dia 5, cada remate também era cada gol, and they won 3-0. It could have been 4, it could have been 5. But Benfica also had a couple chances. Let's not be naive about that. But it was a good performance by Boavista. But it's going to be tough for Porto and Sporting to play at Dubessa, because they're not ashamed to park the bus and play in the counter attack at home. Even though they played at home, they still parked the bus and they played in counter attack. And
Boavista against Porto, they only play 45 minutes like that. Then they, it's just enough time for the wire transfer to be processed.
To tell you o Xavier, já vais falar, já vais ter o teu tempo de antena. O Xavier Garcia, not playing, was actually better for Boavista. I don't think
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one, o outro nome sonante francês.
Remy.
Yeah, I think those two not playing was actually better, because he put 2 motivated, fully fit players that they won the whole game. They annoyed Benfica the whole game. I'm going to say something that, I'm surprised that George didn't mention this. One thing I didn't like, it was the anti-jogo. The 31 fouls by Boavista.
I did. I mentioned it.
Oh, you did? I didn't hear it. The time they burnt, that's bullshit. And the referees, I blame that on the referees. Our Portuguese league lets it drag, and that's shameful, because as a fan, you're watching a soccer game, e nem vês 50% de aproveitamento, filha da puta de jogo, because it's always been stopped. 31 fouls, too many fouls.
And in this game, Steph, it was actually the fact that there's no fans. You can hear what the coaches were saying, and every time Benfica had the ball and they were starting a fast-paced counter, all you hear the coaches saying is mata o jogo, meaning hit him, foul him.
Yeah, exactly. But that's expected. So how can we fix this? That's the conversation we should be having to stop with this nonsense.
You give cards out. You give cards out, and the referees have to have a better control. Listen, I'm not a Jorge Jesus fan at all, but I do agree with him that why do we have to give the ball back when they say it's fair play when it's anti-jogo? Yeah, exactly.
I'm not in favor of giving the ball back if you know that they faking an injury. But lá vem o spray milagroso, e o gajo já está a correr que nem uma lebre. Come on. I'm not Benfiquista, but I know it's going to happen to my Sporting. And I hate those kind of games. When we're losing and when our team is trying to regain rhythm to tie the game, but they're killing it purposely so we don't get that rhythm to tie or win the game. And I hate that. It was a very ugly game, Nubessa, and it's a shame on the Portuguese Liga now. Não percebe nada daquela merda. Nem a VAR devia existir em Portugal. Era melhor gajo com uma lupa ou assim com aquelas coisas para ver as estrelas. Because in Portugal a VAR não faz efeito nenhum.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, we had one question here. George, I don't know if you were able to read it. I would love to know what the goals scored / goals against ratio with Weigl on the field since his signing. A huge unsung weak link on Benfica going back to last season. Defensive liability.
He wasn't in this game, but I've always said that I think Weigl, not only the signing, but the signing and then putting him to play right in the middle of the season. That's when we started losing points. I think we've if you look at the the number of games he played and wins, ties, losses, I think there's more losses. I think there's more last year. There was way more losses than wins with him on the field, and that's one of the reasons why he sits the bench now. He's for whatever reason he's not he's just not, you don't see him on the field. And I understand you have these players that you don't see him on the field, but they're very, very good. Like for example, a William Carvalho. I think we've spoken about this before. I call him the turtle, and you hardly see him, you hardly speak about him in a match, in a game. But he knows the spaces to cover. He's very well positioned. He doesn't have to run much to do his job, and he does his job the right way. This guy, you don't see him on the field, and he doesn't do much on the field. My observation. So I think again, I don't understand letting go of Florentino and keep him. I would much rather have Florentino and Gabriel in the middle, or either or, than him on the field. I just don't think he's ready. He's still adapting, and he's just not ready yet. But the statistics, I had the statistics for last season. I don't have it. For the whole time that he's been with Benfica, but it's not good at all.
Let's try to get that next week. Let's move real quick. I know you guys were debating the whole fouls. Card to foul ratio is a misleading stat said by David Pereira, especially in a league that is notorious for stopping matches for soft contact. I mean, I can't really comment about this game because I really didn't watch it. But all I do know is that there is 31 fouls. That's a lot of fouls. Let's say out of the 31 fouls for Boavista, because I don't even know how many fouls Benfica committed. How many of them were
14 fouls.
Okay. How many of them were considered soft?
So that's 46. So that's 46 fouls in the whole game. And you know why? You know why it's 46? Because like David said, o árbitro está sempre com o apito na boca, he doesn't let the players play. In the Portuguese league, the players know if I throw myself on the ground, he's going to call a foul. He needs to let the players play. But the problem is, us, the fans, sometimes we put too much pressure. How many times have you gone to a cafe lately? Not as much because of the COVID-19. But when you watch with friends or family, and para aquilo é falta. E depois uma pessoa vê no replay e não era nenhuma falta. But us, the fans, we always, when it's against our team, it's always a foul. It takes like character and attitude to actually admit sometimes that, and I think a lot of Sportingistas, Benfiquistas, Portistas, the Vitória, the Bracarenses, they lack of that. Sometimes admit, no, it's not a foul, it's not a PK. In our culture, we always think a nossa equipa está a ser prejudicada, and there's a conspiracy against our team, this and that. And sometimes it's not the way it is. Sometimes it's just the culture that we grew up in. Everything is a foul. I'm trying to get better at that, actually, but.
Well, I don't know. I think even if they're soft fouls, right? Even if they're soft fouls, it gets to a number where you're not only carding because of the intensity of the foul, but you're carding because of the repetition of the foul. So if you have 31 fouls, you can't. Most of these fouls were when Benfica was transitioning from defense to attack. And if there's enough repetition, you got a card. And when you card these players, then the players know that they can't do those fouls anymore, whether they're soft or hard or whatever. They can't do it anymore. So you gotta do something. You want to let them play, you let them play. You don't call anything. But if you are gonna call, you gotta start carding for the repetition, for the numbers of fouls.
Yeah, exactly.
That's been my argument for years.
I've seen referees, going like this to players. Uma, duas, três, yellow.
Exactly.
Falta uma, duas, agora terceira, yellow. Okay,
Yep.
I like that. Okay, it was bullshit fouls, but you've done it 3 times. Enough is enough. Here's a yellow.
You have to. That's how you got to do it.
All right, we're gonna move ahead. We're gonna go cover the Champions League. Porto 3, Marseille 0. Marchesín in goal, Manafá, Mbemba, Sarr, the center back, and Zaidu, the left back. Otávio, Uribe, and Sergio Oliveira, the 3 guys in the middle. Corona, Luis Diaz, and Marega up top. Basically, this game was very simple on how to describe it. The motivation was different. Porto came out with a purpose. They started to high press Marseille. They forced an error. They scored a goal. Marseille, I think, is a team that is very weak in what we compare for Champions League standards. They have some good players, but for something, they're just not clicking. I thought that Porto's high press was the difference in this game. They outran Marseille. Otávio, in comparison to the previous game, you could see that he was running with a purpose. He recovered a lot of balls. He pressed a lot of passing angles. He forced balls going to being put or passed into where there's numbers. And I think Otávio was a key player. Sergio Oliveira played very well on the transition. Corona was very active. He had 3 assists in this game. 3. Luis Diaz brings a whole different element to the team, especially his speed. And of course, another motivation or another factor of motivation was Marega. The way Marega played versus when he played against Paços Ferreira was totally different. Instead of getting onto the field with 9 players against Paços Ferreira, now you're playing with 11. Porto eventually scored. Payet missed a PK. That was a PK. Saad has to be a little bit more careful about how he goes into tackles in the box. But then at the end of the day, it was Porto strong all game, and I think at the end of the day, it was one thing I want to say about the whole penalty for Porto, that last one. I don't think that PK would have been called in Portugal. I think sometimes a lot of referees overlook when someone makes a cross, and they actually get hammered by the guy that crosses the ball. And I think that was a good call. There was a penalty that was not called in favor of Marseille. The referee had to go to the VAR, check it out. It was not a penalty. And then at the end of the day, it was Luis Diaz with a nice goal. Heel pass by Corona, and then eventually he scored a nice bender around the goalkeeper. Unfortunately, 3-0. Fabio Vieira, Romario, and Taremi only play a handful of minutes. Could have been a lot more. You could have rotated the team a little bit more. They were that result wasn't going to go anywhere. Marseille just didn't exist. George, anything to add to this?
No, I mean, the thing that catches my eyes, it's I didn't see the whole game, but the thing that catches my eyes is ball possession. Porto only had 39% ball possession, which tells me that they gave the game to the initiative to Marseille. That's the only thing that really catches my eyes. So, but it's a good. I think we spoke about it last week. They have to win these games against Marseille and against Olympiacos to continue in the Champions League. So,
yeah, I think that if Porto could get a result in France and then go to Greece and get another result, the last game doesn't really matter. Steph, anything to add on this game?
Yeah, I'm going to take too long. The key, the turning point of the game was Payet when he missed the PK. After that, Porto just dominated, gained control of the game, never gave Marseille a chance to do anything of the game. From what I understand, from what I was listening, uh, was he didn't get the contratações he wanted for Marseille. They didn't invest a lot this year, so Marseille they have a good team, but they didn't reinforce themselves. But with that said, hey, it's a Champions League game. Porto did their part, but it just shows you that when Porto plays against a team that plays face to face, head to head, that Porto most likely will win. When Porto plays against a Portuguese team of lower tier that understands how such Conceição is, understands how Porto plays, and they park the bus and they drop the lines, most likely Porto will have, and when I say Porto, I'll include Sporting and Benfica in the mix, we will have more of a hard time to play against our lower tier teams because they know how we play and they will drop the lines and park the bus even if they play home. But when Porto and Benfica play in the international competitions, those teams they want to win the games as well, and they play an open game. And I think that favors Porto and Benfica, and even Braga, and that's why Porto pulled a good performance and showed they have a better team. But if Marseille played in a more defensive way and parked the bus, I don't think Porto would have won, or they would have struggled at least. But no question, Porto was better. And kudos to Porto. And if they win in Marseille or a tie, even a tie would be good. They would have the upper hand on Marseille. And then against the Greek team, assuming that they lose against Manchester City, but never know, they could tie against them. But we'll talk about Braga. It's difficult to win against a Premier League team. But that's a good game by Porto, and congrats.
All right. Just to answer Sergio Malinga's question on Sergio Oliveira, if he's a good player or not. Obviously, he's a good player. He's been called to the national team, and deservedly so. Even though I disagree with him, being called to the national team, because I don't want any players from Porto going to the national team. We'll come in second in the group. We'll see. I mean, I don't think that this group is only for Manchester City. I think Manchester City has struggled at home in Champions League in the past. We'll see how they do on the road. They've had 2 games at home, 1 on the road. I think it was the second game was at Marseille. I think they won. They destroyed them. I think it was 3-0. But again, Marseille definitely the weakest of the teams.
Last week I forgot to ask you guys, and this is a question for both of you and for myself. What you guys think about Bernardo Silva's comments after the win against Porto?
George,
I think it's kind of normal from him already. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it, but to each its own. I mean, you have Porto Marseille, right? You're talking about Villas-Boas. What did Villas-Boas say a couple of months ago?
Got it. I agree. What do you think, Bruno?
I think that Bernard Silva is not going to be making it to the second game in the Dragão. He'll pull some type of muscle, and he's not going to be able to make it.
Okay.
What would that be?
My take on it is I think it's super normal. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. But quem põe a chuva molha, né? So Macaco, when he said what he said, I didn't find anything wrong with that too. So if a professional player wants to say whatever he wants, because he's benfiquista, sumido, and good, because I like players that que assumem clube de coração. I like that. when he says something like that, também está preparado para dar bocas, não é? Agree. Agora, só porque o macaco é o líder do Super Dragões, não pode dizer o que quer? Porquê é que não pode dizer o que quer? Se o Bernardo Silva disse o que quer, ele é que iniciou a conversa de merda. Agora tem que levar tem que levar. Há nada. And that's what I don't like about Portuguese media. They criticize the leader of Futebol com o Porto porque é do Super Dragões. E ele nem disse muito, só disse uma coisa, duas palavras, acho eu. E o Bernardo Silva não disse nada, como se ele fosse um santo. E também não achei que ele dissesse nada de fenomenal. Eu acho normal que ele disse. Não estou a dizer que ele não tivesse que dizer aquilo que disse. But be careful. When you say something, get ready because somebody else is going to tell you something back. So don't be afraid.
All right. Malingas here says that Porto will struggle against Man City. I hate to break it to Malingas, but if it wasn't for the referee on a penalty that should have never happened and on a foul that should have never happened, the game would have been 1-1. So there's your struggles there, Malingas. I know it hurts that your club can't be in Champions League year after year, but you got to accept it, Malingas. That's all I could tell you. I know it pains you, but that's how it is, Malingas. Accept it. It's easier.
A club, Malingas is not here to defend himself. So you doing that stuff.
No, Steph. I know how Malingas thinks. You don't know how Malingas thinks. So I know how he thinks.
Sporting is not in the Champions League. We all know why. Last season, it's our fault. But years before that, you can say email, Stupeira, Pitorado. There's many reasons why we're not in the Champions League. But talking about PKs that you're crying about now, the PK lá no estado de Javalado, não falas nele, que nos roubaram contra o Porto.
Porque não foi.
Pois, porque não te convém. Pronto, já estou a perceber. Quando não te convém, não é. Pronto. Mas o Vítor das Molengas, que aliás o nome dele é Vítor Pinho, ele tem razão de falar.
Não tem razão nenhuma, porque ele não tem nada a ver com o clube dele. Pronto.
Ele está a falar bem. O Porto is going to struggle against Manchester City. You know that too.
And Manchester struggle Porto.
Porto hasn't won a game in England in almost a decade, if not over.
They're the only ones. I don't think Benfica's won a game.
I don't think we've ever won in England.
Any Portuguese team. I think. Yeah, I don't think we ever won that. They brought it up today against Braga.
No, Porto has never won. I don't know about other clubs, but Porto has never won.
Recently we haven't won any. Nobody.
We can't. Well, it's difficult. But Man City on the road has struggled in Champions League in the past. They actually have struggled at home because they've drew with Celtic and some other teams. So I don't think. But I don't think that's true. Mourinho beat Manchester United. I think he's referring with Porto. No, we tied 1-1. Costinha with the late goal. All right. Benfica went to. Oh no, they hosted Rangers, and they drew 3-3.
Yes.
George, you take it away.
Yeah, let me give you the lineup.
You need help?
No, I got it. We're good. Blanco Dimos, Diogo Gonçalves, Otamendi, Vertonghen, Nuno Tavares, Rafa, Weigl, Tarapt, Everton, Pizzi, and Seferovic.
Obrigado, estás a ver os comentários, Vitor.
What do you say?
Segue. Fala.
Tell him, Steph.
I mean, look, this game is highlighted by an Otamendi red card early in the game. That pretty much what's the word I'm looking for?
Condition the game.
Dish?
Condition the game.
It conditioned the game, yeah. Thank you for the help. Conditioned the game. Playing getting Otamendi record, we had to take Pizzi out, put Jardel in. kind of a crazy start to the game with an own goal by the Ranger player. Then we had our own goal by Diogo Gonçalves, and then after the red card, I think it was just an onslaught by the Rangers. Their whole first half, they had a few other opportunities. They had a ball on bola poste na trave. They had a couple of decent opportunities, and then Rafa Silva actually had a really nice game, especially second half, and with Darwin Nunes coming in. Darwin Nunes with a nice play on the left hand side set up Rafa for the 3-2 goal, and then already in tempo de compensação, Darwin Nunes scored a goal on a breakaway. But a really good comeback from a team morality perspective. A really nice comeback. Playing with less one player for almost 70 minutes of the game, and being down 3-1, and then being able to pull a point. We're still in first place, tied with Rangers, and I think if we when we go into Glasgow or Celtic, whatever, Scotland, I think we'll be able to win the game. But another also, we have to
At Ibrox.
what happened?
It's at Ibrox Stadium.
Ibrox Stadium. Cableda is trying to balance also the starting lineup. He's still trying to find the best lineup. Today he decided to start with Seferovic, taking Darwin Nunes out to give him a little bit of rest. Diogo Gonçalves, came in instead of Gilberto. Had that own goal, and then Cabludo decided to put Gilberto back in the second half. But I think it is what it is. We couldn't do much more playing with the Rangers. They have a good team, and they're very well managed by Steven Gerrard. They're doing pretty well. I think it was a good game, but listen, in normal circumstances, I think we should beat the Rangers. So hopefully, game in Scotland, we were able to take the win and take the first place in the group.
All right. Just a quick question. Otamendi, was it a red card or no red card, George?
I saw the play. I think it was a soft play. He's very experienced, so he tried to foul the player without having a noticeable foul. But even when a player is running and the defender is running behind the player, even if when the offensive player is running and running hits the defensive player's legs that are coming from behind, like in this play, the referees are going to call it. Referees are going to call it, because especially in this play, the offensive player is in front of the goalie. It's a clear breakaway. So whether if it's a big touch or not so big touch, if the player falls and there's some sort of contact, the referee is going to call it and it's going to record the player. To me, it wasn't. I'm okay with the red card. I think if it was the other way around, I'd ask for the red card as well.
I'd have a question. I read today that the 2 goals for Rangers were offside. Were they offside? Yes or no?
I didn't see offsides on the goals.
I mean,
All right.
I didn't see offsides.
Steph, anything to add about this game so we could talk about Braga at Leicester real quick?
Okay, so real quick, a shitty game by Benfica in the first half, much better in the second half, playing with 10 players. They actually played better. Getting the 1 point was significant. And I've told you guys how I feel about Portuguese teams playing in the international competitions. I'm in favor of them winning. I'm not that fanatic. I can turn off my chip when it comes to international competitions. Of course, I want you guys to lose the domestic ones, but not the international one. And the 1 point was actually crucial for the UEFA ranking. So by Porto winning and Benfica winning, we actually
No, drawing.
Drawing.
drawing. It was like a win actually, but yeah, drawing. We got 0.6 points, and the Russian teams, they're doing really bad. They got 2 ties, and all the other teams lost, so they only got 0.3. So we gain ground on them, and we gain a little bit of ground on the French teams, but nothing much because Paris Saint-Germain also lost to Nice. So I look at that stuff. I like to look at the rankings. I like that stuff. So everyone was expected to Braga to lose, and they lost. But in the game of Benfica, coming back to wrap it up, good tie towards the end, the 3-3, and well-deserved tie. And they could do much better, but with the English teams, they're part of the United Kingdom, Scotland. You got to run. They run all game long. They don't stop running. That's all they do. Is run. They physically fit, and they're going to play those long balls. They're gonna dissect your defense playing those long balls behind your defense, and we should know that by now. And Benfica, I don't think they were prepared. But that's it. Good top by Benfica towards the end. But the Rangers, they're not a shitty team. They're in first place in Scotland.
And they should win the Scottish Premier League because Celtic is a shell of what they were years ago. Rangers, I think this is only his 3rd game that he did not win in his last 18, 19 games or something like that for Steven Gerrard. All right. Leicester 4, Braga 0. I'll read the lineups real quick. Mateus in goal, Ricardo Gaio, Bruno Viana, David Carmo, and Raul. André Horta, Al Musrati, and João Novaes, Paulinho, Abel Ruiz, and Galeno. We have our Braga fan on right now. Here's what he said. Entire backup midfield and Abel Ruiz. No Nunes Queira or Ricardo Horta, which is, that's a fact. Those 2 guys are definitely very influential players. I agree. I think Carvalhal knew this wasn't a good matchup. If he gets beat up by Benfica, the gamble wasn't worth it. We're going to talk about that in a second. Steph, I know you watched this game. What did you have? A quick analysis, 30 seconds on Braga and Leicester, because there's really not much to say about this game.
Okay, I'll give you a quick analysis. Carvalhal was way too ambitious. And when you go and play against the top team of England, you have to play como uma equipa pequena. You park the bus in the back in the counter-attack. That's my analysis. Carvalhal should know better. He already coached in that league. And they lost badly because he was too ambitious. And now I can see that against Benfica, he's going to park the bus and play counter-attack. Watch and see. You'll see.
George, 30 seconds. Go ahead.
I didn't watch the game. I think there's a big difference between the English Premier League and obviously our league. But with the players that Braga has, the investment that they made this year, it needs to be a closer game. 4-0. I don't think it's acceptable for the current Braga team.
And there it is. I think this kind of tells the story of the game. If people didn't watch it, turned the ball over way too many times in the midfield, which is true. I mean, Steph kind of touched on it. When you play these EPL / British clubs, the one thing you'll see is that they will outrun our midfield all day. They run and they run and they run more than we do. And if you probably clock them or GPS them, they probably ran almost double the amount of what the Portuguese clubs do. You're not going to be able to compete that way. You can possess as much as you want, but they're going to eventually score. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, Braga, listen, we gotta call it the way it is. Braga needs to get out of this group. They need to get out of this group, and they need to reach at least the round of 32 or 16 or whatever it's called for the Europa League. It just has to happen.
They
It
will.
just has.
No, they have a good enough team for that. They'll finish second.
Here's one from Lingas. Paulinho going to the national team. Just read it. Yes, the answer is right. Is it a good choice or a bad choice? My opinion, call him. He's scoring goals in Portugal, so why not call him? George, yes or no? Good choice? Paulinho.
Paulinho from Braga?
Yes.
No, I don't think we need him. I think we have way too many players up front there.
Steph, good choice or bad choice?
I mean, if you need to test it now, I guess we're going to play against Andorra and Masqué. It's like only one big team. We have 3 games, nothing significant. So if it's the intuition is to test him to see how he handles himself, yeah, by all means, because the Ponta de Lança teams, they're good, but some of them they're not performing well in their clubs.
Okay. So let's go round 7 because we're at 1 hour and 30 minutes. Round 7 starts off tomorrow. Belenenses Rio Ave. Then Saturday, Tondela Santa Clara. Moreirense Paços Ferreira. I think that game is actually not going to be played based on the COVID-19 outbreak. Is that correct, Steph?
Well, Moreirense, they closed their installations, so they haven't been practicing. That's a possibility. It hasn't been announced yet.
Okay. Famalicão and Marítimo. And then we have Vitória de Guimarães Sporting. Steph, prediction.
I'm going to say the Sporting will win 2-1, but we'll have to be on our A game. If we don't play our A game, then I don't think we'll win. But I'll say 2-1 if we play the way we've been playing.
Jorginho.
1-1.
1-1. That was going to be my choice, so I'll pick something else. I'll go 2-2. 2-2.
Te parece sobre isso, caralho.
Okay, you know what, Steph? I'll make it easier. I'll make it. I'll make it happy for you. Guimarães 2, Sporting 1. How about that? Okay, pronto. Já ficas mais contente. Nacional Gil Vicente, Farense Boa Vista. 2 teams that desperately need points. Farense has just had some bad luck. And then we have on Sunday Porto and Portimonense. I'm gonna say Porto 4-0. George.
Portimonense, I'm going to say 2-0.
Steph.
2-2.
Yeah.
Eu não dizer 1-2, estás passando por caralho.
All right. And then the big game of the week.
Olha, I guess the resultado do Porto. I was off by the goals, but I guess the result. I said that Porto would lose no Fred 2-1. Perdeu 3-2, but I said they would lose.
2-1, 3-2 é o mesmo.
Go back to the podcast and you see I said that Porto will lose at Paços Ferreira, and they did.
All right. Benfica, Braga, that's the big game of the week. Or Benfica versus Benfica B. Jorge, como é que é?
2-0.
Para quem? O Benfica? I know. Agora, é A ou B? I don't know. Is it A, B, or A team or B team?
Uh-huh.
É
Uh-huh. 2-0. 2-0 Benfica.
All right. Steph.
Mas olha, eu aí vou concordar com o Bruno. Se o Braga pudesse mudar o nome, até mudava. Eles têm as iniciais SCB, né? Sporting Clube Braga. Eles pudessem mudar para Sporting Clube Benfica, mudava. É que não haja ideia, não haja dúvidas. Mas anyway, I think it's going to be a tie. So I think because Benfica sucks in the defense. I don't trust the Benfica defense at all. They shaky since o Dias foi embora. Tanto que mal falavam do rapaz, nem todos, claro. But it looks like they're still looking for a leader. Otamendi, I think he's on the downhill. I think it was a bad deal for Benfica, Otamendi.
Very bad.
Yeah, in comparison, Dias, it's 10 times better than him. And not because he's Portuguese, but he's better than him.
He's younger.
He's younger. Yeah, well, that's obvious. I think it'll be a tie, either 1-1 or 2-2.
All right,
Just-
I'm gonna say
Defense.
I just don't see Braga going to Benfica and getting any type of points. At the end, it'll be abraços e beijinhos com todos.
Bom,
Todos sorridentes.
o Braga quer ser campeão de Portugal.
Não pode.
they
Não
have
pode.
to win. Então,
Não pode. You can't start the season -6 every season.
well, last season they lost against Braga, o Benfica.
Lá, fora. Foi fora?
Perdeu um jogo deles.
Oh, no. That's right. Foi quando o Sapinto foi fired. Porque o Salvador. Então como é que é? Vai ganhar o Benfica. Então como é que é isso? Vai por rua. Fire!
É muito
Fire!
estúpido. Não tem nada a ver com isso, mas pronto.
Why? He got fired right after the Benfica game. He
No.
went to Benfica, he won, and he got fired.
It was
And
not that.
Salvador said, "You fire."
Because it was because of other stuff. Mas pronto, it's funny though. I give that much. That's o caralho, mesmo.
Não se pode ganhar o Benfica, caralho. Não pode. That's it.
No. It's going to be a tie. Both teams are tired, and it's going to be a tie. I think Carvalhal fucked up in not playing the A team against Leicester to save those players to play against Benfica.
We'll see. I mean, and maybe David is right. It's a gamble. We'll see if the gamble pays off.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how you don't try to put your A team against Leicester on the road. You put the backups on the road. That just doesn't make sense to me. But all right, we'll see what happens. I still think that Benfica wins 2-0, no problem, and that's that.
I don't think so. But I gotta say to Dave, since we have a Brecarense listening to our podcast, and I'm really glad we do have Braga. That's good. If you guys want to be champions, like Bruno says, you can be giving away points. You gotta win against Benfica. You already win against my Sporting. That's not even a problem for you guys. But you gotta win against Benfica and Porto. If Braga wants to be champion of Portugal, that's all.
I don't think they have enough, and I think Cableta is going to be pretty angry. But let's start saying the one thing I have asked Benfica is up until the game against Boa Vista, and that's on the Portuguese fans fans of Portuguese soccer page, ran by our friend Jeff Cabral. I've been asking him, who has Benfica really played up until this point? The Boa Vista game was very shocking, to be honest with you. I was not expecting Boa Vista to lose to win that game. Now, the one against Rangers, I think this result was a little bit more acceptable because Rangers is in good form, and they look good. I mean, let's be honest, they looked good, and then I don't know, the wheels collapsed.
This result was more acceptable after Benfica was down 3-1 and less one player.
Claro.
Tie the game 3-3 was actually pretty good. I mean, I watched the game and I was like, okay, hey, you know what? At least they got 1 point. It's important for our Portuguese teams to go through the next phase.
No, let's see. But I think that's that. All right, guys. I think that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Well, just give me one. Let me just answer. I was actually writing it in our YouTube comments, but let me just answer Jeff Cabral with the statistics for Julian Weigl. So Weigl has played 21 games with the Benfica shirt. In these 21 games, Benfica has 10 wins, 6 losses, and 5 ties.
So in total, they've 10 wins, you said, right?
10 wins, 6 losses, 5 ties.
So there's 11 games that Benfica didn't win with him on the field versus 10 games that they did win. So
Correct.
your answer earlier was correct. They have more points lost with him on the field than with him on the field.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uma pergunta, Jorge.
Please.
Do you think that by taking away a brasileiro capitão from Pizzi and then the Portuguese players, and now you give it to an outsider, they just came to the Balneário. He just came to the Balneário. So he has no relationship with the team. He just came in. even though he's a great player, continue internacional, and Jorge Jesus being the president capitão. Do you think that that's playing a role in the balneario and messing up the chemistry? And do you
No,
think it's fucked up?
no, I don't think so, because nothing was taken away from Pizzi, nothing was taken away from Jardel, nothing was taken away from Andre Almeida, nothing was taken away from Samaris. When they're on the field, they're the captains. When they're not on the field, Otamendi is the captain. So nothing was taken away from them. Pizzi, when Pizzi's on the field, Pizzi is the captain. Doesn't matter if Otamendi is there or not. Today, Pizzi was on the field with Otamendi, who was the captain at the beginning of the game. Pizzi was the captain. When
George,
Pizzi,
I have a
when
question.
Pizzi,
Pizzi está a jogar alguma coisa?
look, last game he played a good game.
Against Boa Vista?
No, not against Boavista. Not against Boavista.
Mas está moado.
Look,
That's my
I think the problem is that Jorge Jesus is not. He doesn't have a guaranteed spot in the starting 11. So the fact that he doesn't have a guaranteed spot in the starting 11, it can cause him. It could get him a little bit pissed off. Remember, last year, the year before, he was most of the time that he played on the wing. Jorge Jesus doesn't like to put him on the wing. He likes to put him in the middle. But Jorge Jesus has already said that between him and Tarapt, he likes Tarapt better, because Tarapt is able to do certain things in the middle that Pizzi is not able to do. He's more aggressive in the middle than Pizzi. And go ahead.
More physical, yeah.
Yeah, more physical, and that's probably one of the reasons that at the beginning of the year you had the rumors that Benfica was willing to sell Pizzi for 20 million.
I think your Benfica is not playing well because of a lack of a chemistry and dynamics. And I think that's my way of seeing things. And Jorge Jesus is muito teimoso, and maybe they'll play better eventually. But so far, some players are on the pitch.
I don't agree. I think we've been playing fine. I think we've been playing great. Remember, there's a lot of new players. There's up front you have Walschmidt, you have Darwin Nunes, you have Everton, right? All new players. In the back you have Otamendi, you have Vertonghen. Now you take away the Grimaldo and you take away Andre Almeida. You're playing with brand new back four, right? So you have a brand new back four. You have brand new attacking players, right? In the middle, our problem I think is in the middle, right? It's what combination works best, right? I think Gilberto has to play, because he's been the most consistent player, and the secret is who do you put with him? Who gives you the most balance? And I think we're talking about Weigl. It's if you think these statistics are crazy, if I go and I pull the statistics where it's Weigl and Gabriel at the same time, then that's even more crazier, because it on paper you can see that they can't play together. They just can't play together. It just doesn't mesh. Benfica suffers a lot of goals with them too on the field. So I think that's the key. The key is finding that balance with those two center mids. Who plays together. And that's that's why Jorge Jesus makes the money that he makes. He needs to find out, and needs to find out quickly. But again, you go back to the league games, and we've been okay in the league games. We've been, it's concerning that we're suffering a lot of goals. We suffered a lot of goals in Poland, right? We suffered 3 in Poland. Now we suffer. Was it 3 or 2? No, we suffered 2 in Poland. Mm-hmm. We won 3-2, right? We won 3-2. We won 3-2. Now we suffer 3 in Boavista. Now we suffer 3 today against the Rangers. That's the concerning part, especially when Jorge Jesus teams usually, one of the things that, we all look at Jorge Jesus and we look at the attacking game and all the goals and all that stuff. Jorge Jesus holds, keeping clean sheets very, very close to his chest. He likes the clean sheets. He likes almost more to have a clean sheet than to score 3 or 4 goals. He likes that balance. And when you see a team like Benfica suffering a lot of goals, I think it has to do more with the fact that we're playing with 3/4 of our team are players that weren't playing last year, and I think that's a big problem, especially that right fullback spot. I think that's going to be a problem. Grimaldo was back today. I think we're okay on the left side. What the hell is he saying?
He's just messing around.
So we'll see what happens.
All right, just real quick. From Jeff Cabral, the goals against is even more eye opening. Thanks for the info, George. Great show. Another one by David, real quick. No David Carmo and no Francejo. If Braga goes back to a losing pairing of Bruno Viana and Raul Silva, they'll be in trouble. Raul is so poor. Braga plays skate at center back and Galindo at left back often. All right, guys. Make sure that thank you very much for our listeners, and make sure you hit subscribe and like on our YouTube.
And share,
of course. Make sure that you guys, tell your friends about our show. We're gonna be back next week. We'll be discussing this week's action, and then I think it's the national team break, I believe, and then that's when Steph and George take over the show because I could care less. I know. What it comes to
I'm gonna make a shirt for you, just like the Spanish people have issues with all the Spanish players. They have their Catalunya shirt.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make one for you. I'm gonna make one just for you.
What was I gonna say?
Opa, mas Vlad, eu gosto do teu casaco, tem uma cor fixe.
Por causa é azul, mas pronto.
É azul?
Azul?
Because of the lighting, but don't worry about it.
Também és colorblind ainda por cima?
No, it's blue.
Green. I mean, isn't it green, George?
Of course it's green.
It looks green because of the lighting, but it's not. It's not green.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jeff, is it green?
Bruno, se o teu pai tiver-te a ver, és o filho que ele nunca teve.
Uma garrafa de
All right, guys. Make sure you hit like, you subscribe, share to your friends, and thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, you guys will be back. E não esqueças, viva o futebol.
Definitely green. O Vitor, green, it's green.
O moleque só vê verde, pá. Eu só vê verde, man.
O Jeff também diz, definitely.
O Jeff já não vê tão verde como o Vitor das molengas. O Vitor só vê verde, man. O gajo, ele está no céu, pá. O gajo, em primeiro lugar, ele nem sabe o que fazer, pá. Ele nem trabalha nem nada, man. Ele está tomando maluco.
Eu falei que o Jeff em casa só come alface, porque é tudo verde.
Tá bom. Tchau, Laura. Viva o futebol do Porto.